right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Bottom Turnbuckle. This is part 2 of Summerslam 88. Of course, as we kick off any part 2 to any episode, we of course have to take a stop into the weird world of wrestling. Tim, Eric, what do you guys have in store? I mean, I have no clue what I'm about to witness.
This should be the illegal weird world of wrestling, because what we're about to show you the most dangerous move ever performed. We talked about Mick Foley, we talked about or Mankind and The Undertaker. We've talked about all these kind of pile driver drops and the dangers they present, but what we're about to show you is literally the most dangerous thing that ever happened in wrestling history. I think Tim will agree.
Fully illegal lawyers will hate this.
Yes.
You're gonna see they don't pull stunts like this in WWE for good reason.
This is some WWF type stuff.
This is not even WWF. This is like
this is not even ECW. This was too extreme for ECW.
Yeah.
This is just McMahon's insanity. Is that what
even worse than McMahon's insanity?
McMahon could wish he could come up with something.
Honestly, I'm even less sure of what I'm about to see. So without further ado, let's hit this clip.
So do we want to like display this on the side? Like do we?
You do the pre. Yeah, there you go.
There you go. All right, here we go.
It's all about making it the cage of death on December 11th. Now, what do the Runaways have planned here right now? As they were fitting all by himself, ducks in the clothesline. Amos is catching his spot. Mesmerizing.
He's using hypnosis.
Is that legal here?
This can't be legal. International rules. Look,
It's working.
he's hypnotizing the entranceway too.
Different, but effective. What the hell is going on?
How is this legal?
Oh, man.
They got the dance floor. And what is this? He hypnotized the locker room when he looked at the entrance. This is the most illegal thing I've seen in the history of wrestling.
How are we not hypnotized?
He didn't look right.
Hey, it's ultra-violent dancing. You gotta love the action here in CZW. It's like nothing else.
He's cutting a line or cutting a rope or whatever it's called.
Oh, I love it. Oh, man.
This is so tough.
The yo-yo.
I haven't seen some of this stuff since the 80s.
And Greg Excellent is doing a striptease on the outside. I haven't seen a rack like that since Mia Yim.
Oh, my God. Slater's now cutting the rug somehow. The Worm.
Textbook Worm by Ryan Slater.
Goddamn Casey dude.
Joe Gacy, he must be reincarnated by rerun, only in a different Slater body. Let's look at him dead.
Oh shit!
Somehow he's doing a worm.
That was actually really cool.
I'm more impressive than Ryan Slater.
Wait, that's actually wait, what?
Egyptian hypnosis. Thinking about the runaway. Uh-oh. The hypnosis broken. Casey down.
Disqualified that Papa Giorgio.
I don't know anything about hypnosis in the rule book.
Hypnosis.
Portal going up top.
With the Osirian,
The exclamation point.
the Osirian Sacrament.
1, 2, 3. Osirian Portal to the finals. Osirian Portal, the Cage of Death 12. And Greg Excellent feels ashamed of himself.
So tonight, here at Night of Infamy 9, we saw Philly's Most Wanted beat Cop and a Half / Irish Drive-By to advance to the finals of the Tag Team Title Tournament. And right now, we saw the Osirian Portal use hypnosis illegally. We have to review the rule book. Where's Gulak to defeat the Runaways? Portal. Philly's Most Wanted. Tag team title tournament final at Cage of Death 12. I don't know about you.
Okay, that's about it.
I was gonna say, like, that was like a whole match right there.
Basically.
Just, wow. What is it? WZW?
CZW.
CZW. What does that stand for?
Combat. Wait.
Combat Zone Wrestling.
Yeah, Combat Zone Wrestling. That's it. Yeah. So to basic this in based on what we were talking about earlier, ECW was kind of like an extreme independent wrestling thing. CZW kind of picked up where they left off. So usually their matches are very violent with like barbed wire and like thumbtacks and tables and all that. So they had to step it up, obviously, with the Osirian Portal busting out the cardboard in the middle of the ring and doing
Dance floor.
Busting out the dance floor and pulling some heavy moves there. I'll say some textbook moves by Osirian Portal.
I think only Fighting God could beat anything more out there than what I just witnessed.
You don't see that kind of stuff in UFC. That's all I'm saying.
Because they know better.
It's too illegal.
Yeah. I like, my favorite part about that was how they were like illegal hypnosis as opposed to legal hypnosis in the ring.
Well, to be fair,
I'd like to see on book hypnosis. Like,
to be fair, that they were trying to beat them in a wrestling match and not get them to quit smoking, so that was probably the difference. That's where the line is drawn.
After that, they can use the cigarettes to get them to tap out.
Yeah,
because they're done. They're done. All right. I mean, I don't know what else can be said about that one of a kind match. So without further ado, let's resume the second half of SummerSlam 1988.
Is scheduled for one fall. Coming down the aisle towards the ring from Sunset Beach, Hawaii, weighing 275 pounds, the Rock Dog Morocco.
What's that, Bobby?
Does that bother you hearing that music? Knowing that you have to sit here and do nothing except beat your lips?
In other words, you're calling me a cripple now, Mike. You hope you're
I never said that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was match number 6. That was between Dino Bravo and Don the Rock Morocco. Yeah, this was kicking off the second half of this event, and honestly, it was relatively straightforward match, I feel like. Yeah, I mean, my first impressions as it hit my eyeballs is that it was kind of, pretty evenly matched, relatively, not a crazy gimmick for either of these wrestlers, which is pretty much pretty straightforward match. Yeah, I'm not really sure what else to say, honestly. It was good. I mean, it was not a bad match by any standards, but yeah, it wasn't particularly memorable. But yeah, what do you guys think? Eric, you got any big pops, any DQs, any high risk maneuvers?
The big pops of the match, the positives of it was that it was short. It was like, it was two wrestlers who had the build, but absolutely none of the technique to make it work. It was just mercifully short. I mean, they weren't particularly great wrestlers. Don Morocco probably should have been a lot better or bigger than he was, but he just couldn't speak on the mic. He was dreadful on the mic, but he had the look and everything. Dino Bravo, he couldn't speak either. In fact, this was like the English as a second language match of the event. And I think it was technically in the case of Dino Bravo. But yeah, DQs, it was slow. Like it was just watching them try to run each other off the turnbuckles, off the ropes and stuff. It was just so monotonously slow. The high risk maneuver wasn't a high risk maneuver per se. The thing I liked about it was that it was actually, number one, a clean finish, and number two, a clean finish in favor of the heel, which I thought was like an interesting thing we don't see too often. And there was no shenanigans directly in the win. It was just a reversal of a move, a side suplex, which on concrete probably works, but on the wrestling ring, it's never understood how that was a finishing move. But for me, yeah, the positive was it was short. The negative was that they were just not very good wrestlers and very slow. And then the high risk maneuver was actually a clean finish.
Yeah. Tim, what do you got?
I guess I was kind of echo what Eric said. I mean, yeah, my DQ it was kind of a sudden finish, I guess. I mean, I'm probably just more used to, the really flashy finishing moves of, more modern wrestling, but ending on a side slam is kind of anticlimactic, I felt like. I will say, though, I agree with Eric. At least it was a match that had a finish. Someone won without cheating, he even had a manager, but he sort of interfered, but that didn't really play into the ending all that much,
He interfered politically.
Yeah, in protest. To the what is Don Morocco? What is his nationality again? Is he
American? He's Hawaiian.
He's American. Okay, I was gonna say it seemed weird that he was. USA is not okay to so I thought he was like Puerto Rican or something.
Isn't one of them from Canada?
Dina Bravo's Canadian.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it seemed, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it was a match. This again, like in modern terms, I feel like this would be like a pre-show match that no one would really remember, or this would be like this would be a match on Raw or SmackDown that people would be like,
right.
that happened.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't think it was bad at all. It was just really not memorable, but I do appreciate that there was a clean finish. Like you guys were saying, no shenanigans, no tricks up the sleeve, no interferences, just just ended, and that's it. I can appreciate that. All right. Well, without further ado, let's move on to match number 7. And this one is going to be between, it's a tag team championship match, and that's between the reigning champions, the Demolition, which is Axe and Smash, challenged by the Hart Foundation, which is Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart. Neidhart. Right. All right. Let's get into it.
Currently in the ring are the challengers at a total combined weight of 515
Boy, and a hitman and the Anvil would certainly like to get their titles back.
And
they might get it back. Listen to the ovation for the Hart Foundation. Demolition, leading the way, Mr. Fuji, and the former manager of the Hart Foundation, the Colonel, the Mob, Jimmy Hart.
Yeah, you talk about it.
All right, so here we are. We just saw match number 7 of SummerSlam 88. This, of course, was a tag team championship match between the reigning champs, Demolition, which is Axe and Smash, with Mr. Fuji at their side, and the Hart Foundation, Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart, accompanied by, who was with them?
He was Jimmy Hart was with Demolition, right?
Right.
Yeah, I don't think they had anyone. In their
I think, all right, so then Mr. Fuji and Jimmy Hart was with Demolition.
Yep.
So they had nobody. Hart Foundation was on their own. But, yeah, I gotta say, first impressions, almost like Whiplash from the last one, where we had a kind of bland, straightforward, by the books wrestling match. This was very much like there's a lot of pizzazz, a lot more charisma from both teams here. Costumes were more visually interesting. Style was more visually interesting to watch. This one was pretty fun. I gotta say. And you had some interference at the end. You had the Jimmy Hart passing the megaphone right at the end there to give Demolition the upper hand with the knockout with the megaphone. But no, I mean, entertaining match in my books, I would say. Tim, why don't you start us off? Any what are your pros, your big pops, your cons, your DQs, or maybe some high risk maneuvers? What do you got?
So for big pops and just in general, I gotta say the energy of this match was great. I don't know how long it was. I wasn't really keeping track, but it flew by. But not in a way that made it feel short. I was like, on the edge of my seat for a lot of that. I know, I don't know how long the reign is. I know Demolition held the record for the longest tag team championship run in WWF up until I think 2016 or 2017. So I was almost certain that they were going to win this match, but Brett and Jim Neidhart made me believe for a second like they could win this. There was a lot of like close false finishes, which I really enjoyed overall. One negative I'll say, I didn't really mind the interference at the end. It kind of makes it's weird that Demolition would need that. I feel like they should be a little more like we're gonna beat you up and like the dominant types. It's weird that they would need to cheat. I will say the only thing that I didn't like, the bit in the end where the ref didn't see Jim tag in, so it didn't count for a second, and then 10 seconds go by, and then he just tags in anyways. I felt like that was kind of unnecessary, but that's really kind of nitpicking, I think. Overall, great match. High risk maneuver, Jim Neidhart catapulting himself over the ropes was nuts. I didn't know he ever took any risks like that. That was crazy. I really liked that. But yeah, overall, 2 thumbs up. Loved it.
All right, Eric. What do you got for us? Pros, cons, maneuvers?
The big pops of the matches, essentially, it was just 2 quality tag teams. There's a reason why Demolition, as much as we might laugh at them for being old and saggy and whatnot, they were a very good tag team, especially for the time that it was in. And the Hart Foundation were legends. They were just 2 great wrestlers, and they just put on a great show with Hart. The match, it was a 10-minute long match. It didn't feel even close to that at all. That was like such a well-run match. It felt like 4 minutes maybe by the end of it. But yeah, it was just like watching Bret Hart alone in any matches. He's just such a great technical wrestler. But when you get 4 people who know what they're doing in the ring, they like Demolition knew how to be a tag team, the Hart Foundation knew how to be a tag team, and they knew each other really well, so they knew what they could do in terms of move sets and whatnot. So yeah, it was just a hugely entertaining tag team match. The backstory of the face torn for the Hart Foundation with Jimmy Hart being in Demolition's corner, you knew he was going to play a part at some point. Crucially, it seems to be like the mega show, the mega powers, the mega books, and the megaphone. So well done if that was an intentional theme. DQs, I couldn't think of one really. Maybe Mr. Fuji was completely unnecessary almost for the entire thing. Like, he was just there, apart from running away at the end with the megaphone hidden. But other than that, it was there's not much to complain about. The high risk maneuver, any double clothesline with Bret Hart is always a great moment for me. I thought he was brilliant at it because he really sold it. Like anytime Bret Hart was in a double clothesline, you just knew, or you just felt that his neck was broken and this is the end of him. Period. But then he'd obviously get back up again. So just a great match. I would say almost as impactful entertainment-wise as the Ultimate Warrior Honky Tonk one earlier on. It was just, you kind of maybe wanted to see a little bit more of it for a different reason, of course. But not that it was only 3 seconds long.
It sounds like the consensus from all of us is a big... Oh.
Yep.
There we go.
A big yip.
Big yip.
Big yip. All right. Without further ado, let's move on to match number 8, which is, of course, between Big Boss Man and Coco Beware. Let's get into it.
This contest is scheduled for 1 fall. Introducing first, the individual who is managed by the Doctor of Style, Slick.
Latest
From the Department of
acquisition
Correction
of Slickster.
in Cobb County, Georgia. weighing 357 pounds.
I kind of think that Slick
The
found this guy
Big
while Slick was doing a little time.
Yes, that's good. I like that, Gorilla. Slick was doing time, and he was the prison guard.
From Union City, Tennessee.
Well, they're on their feet once again here in Madison Square Garden.
The Birdman.
Coco, Beware, and Frankie.
Beware.
All right. Okay, so this was match number 8 we just watched. This was between Big Boss Man and Coco Beware. Immediately what jumped out at me and what we were somewhat discussing during the match, as you can see with this screenshot over here, just viewing it from someone even like casually tuned into today's political climate, it was a weird dynamic for sure. So this was just something that you immediately notice. But in terms of wrestling itself, very entertaining. Coco Beware was absolutely the crowd favorite in this one. Yeah, really, I thought he was pretty charismatic. I was rooting for him the whole time. It was fun to watch. Big Boss Man too. Definitely has his gimmick, and it works pretty well. Again, I mean, very entertaining to watch. Once again, you had that weird moment where like he could have gotten a pin on Coco Beware, refused to do it, wanted to go for what was it, like a belly slam, and then he missed. But yeah, I mean, it was back and forth. You thought Coco Beware was done for, and due to a fluke, he managed to turn the tide and managed to get the pin. Interesting match, very dated match, I would say. But yeah, Eric, what'd you think? Big pops, DQs,
being a 12-year-old, having watched this at that age, you would not even know any of the racial connotations that we would see the match as now. Obviously, there wasn't any. It was just a match between two wrestlers. But the visual dynamic in 2022 is just staggering, given everything that's happened in the political climate. But for the match itself, I thought it was good. Coco Beware is almost, I think, now he's got the junkyard dog mantle now.
Yeah,
I didn't want to say it, but
you want him to win, but he just never does, as far as I can remember. But he was really good. If he was about 5 inches taller, I reckon he could have got a really great run in the WWE, but he was tiny in comparison to everybody else. But he had that Frankie gimmick, he had that board gimmick. He was really good off the top ropes and stuff like that with the aerial maneuvers. And I think it was, despite the size difference, it was a really good matchup between the two, because Big Boss Man is all power, but he is quite mobile, surprisingly, for somebody that large. The thing I like about it is, and especially as we see in the pictures, like somebody like Big Boss Man would give me hope that I could become a professional wrestler, because I have the exact same body, and I lived longer, so that's even better again as well. But yeah, no, DQs, it was an entertaining short match. Big props. I mean, the DQs, I can't think of any other than the racial tones, but they didn't exist when it happened. But looking back at it now, it's a little bit iffy. And then the high risk maneuver, I think, was the from the top rope. I think I remember it was a drop kick.
Yeah, the Coco Beware drop
magic
kick
stuff. Yeah, just magic. Like
that was pretty cool.
Really fascinating to see how good he was at that. But yeah, I think we've called them at this point like a few of them palate cleansers, and I think that was it. It was a really good one for me.
Yeah. All right, Tim, what do you got for us? Pros, cons, highest maneuvers?
So my big pro, great match. I love both these guys. Despite the iffy gimmick, Big Boss Man, he's one of the best big dudes ever, because he's big, but he's also very fast and does a lot of cool moves and stuff. I guess cons, I think Eric said during the match, there's not really a story going into it. It's just a match, but given what could have been the story between these two, that's probably a blessing. And I guess the only other negative I have, and I guess this could be my sarcastic high-risk maneuver, the big boss man slam at the end, which is his little side slam he does, usually looks pretty good and like very impactful. I don't know what it was. Maybe they were just both like really tired after the match, and I can't say I blame them. But this one just kind of felt like he just kind of put him down. Like it didn't feel like a move. So that'd probably be my big con. But overall, yeah, I like this match. It was great.
All right, let's move on to match number 9. Second to last match. This is between Jake the Snake Roberts and Hercules. Let's check it out.
This contest is scheduled for one fall. In the ring to my left, weighing 275 pounds, the mighty Hercules.
Hercules, another. Where's the brain? Why isn't a brain down there with
Why
him?
is the brain down? That's a good question, brother. Maybe he went out the exits to the entrance we left here.
He could be lost somewhere
Yeah,
in
he's
the
only
village.
down to 1 round.
Jake the Snake Roberts.
Listen to this tremendous thundering ovation for Jake the Snake Roberts.
So we just watched match number 9 of SummerSlam 88, the inaugural SummerSlam, and we've almost reached the main event. And to warm us up, we were treated to a match between Hercules and Jake the Snake Roberts, quickly becoming one of my favorites from this era. Jake the Snake, that is. And I gotta say,
not a fan of Hercules.
No. I mean, I like Hercules. He's just, I don't know. I don't feel any particular way towards him, good or bad. But yeah, no. First impressions on this match. I gotta say, I mentioned this while we were watching, but I was not expecting this to be as close as it was. Jake the Snake has got more of like a lean, mean fighting machine kind of vibe to him. A little more slick, a little sly. He'll maybe pull a fast one on you, where Hercules just seems more like blind muscle kind of guy. And so it didn't seem like the most obvious matchup to me, and I certainly wasn't expecting Jake the Snake to do as well as he did, but he really made, both of them really were pushed to the edge on this one. I feel like it was pretty evenly matched. At several points, I felt like it could have gone either way, but yeah, we saw a textbook DDT from Jake the Snake here to get him to win. Who went first last time? I think it was Eric. So Tim, what'd you think of this match? Were your big pops, DQs, high-risk maneuvers, perhaps?
Big pops. Just Jake the Snake is always a big pop. He always, puts on a good match, knows how to, control the crowd. And, in general, this match wasn't bad. It was just kind of slow and long. And also, I mean, just in general, so we saw Jake the Snake earlier in the show when he chased off Rick Rude. And then Rick Rude is gone. He doesn't show up. I was very much expecting some kind of, interference from Rick Rude, maybe, or maybe
that would have been a good full circle.
Yeah, exactly, right? Or like just something to spice up this match a little bit, but it was just, Jake the Snake and Hercules. Hercules is kind of there, there's no real story between those two as far as I can tell. So it just seemed weird that it was just a straight match that just ended with Jake the Snake putting the snake on Hercules. So I think that would be my DQ, is just in general it seemed kind of purposeless, and didn't really add anything to the overarching story. And that's about it. High risk maneuver, there wasn't really one. I'll throw the DDT in there because I love me a DDT. But besides that, it was a match. It was alright.
Eric, what do you got for us?
I'm the same. I mean, I'm the same as Tim, and Jake the Snake is just fantastic to watch all the time. And I think it needs to be emphasized how well he controlled the crowds and how well he walked the ring in all of his matches. Hercules he's just a bland character in general, but he doesn't do bad matches as far as I can make out if you put him with the right opponent. You know, put him with Don Morocco or Dino Bravo, and it's, you know, you're going to get the exact same match that Bravo and Morocco had earlier. It's just going to be slow, muscular, and almost tedious to watch in places. But put him with somebody like Jake Roberts, who knows how to walk the match, then it's going to be reasonably decent, if not earth-shattering. My big pops for it was that, you know, it's Jake the Snake, and we got to see a DDT, and we got to see Damien. What more could you want for Christmas? The DQs, I think that's correct. I think it's almost like Rick Rude had to go and, you know, work his other job as a male stripper, and that's why he wasn't there. But you kind of expected maybe a little bit of resolution, seeing as that was the feud at the time. But other than that, yeah, just the length of it, maybe a 5-minute match between the two would have been good for what it was. And then for the high flying maneuver, I always like the things where they, you know, when they're on the apron and then somebody's neck is on the rope and then they drag their neck down as they drop to the floor and then pop them back up. I always like that move because that looks genuinely realistic. I mean, you could see that working in real life and it causes some damage. But yeah, overall, like not even a palate cleanser match, literally just like, you know, let's watch this while we're setting everything up in the back for the main event. So a decent enough bridge to get us there.
Agreed. I think that collectively this match has earned a from all of us. So with all there is to be said, let's move on to the climax of SummerSlam 1988. Our title match between the Mega Powers, Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage. That's the powers that be right there. And then you add Ted DiBiase and Andre the Giant to the mix.
Chances of winning drastic go down.
Chances of winning drastic go down, as a wise man once said. All right, let's get into it.
Oh, he didn't give a dime back.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, team number 1 to be led towards the ring by manager Bobby the Brain Heenan and bodyguard Virgil. Here are the Mega Bucks at a total combined weight of 780 pounds, making his summer residence in Hyannisport, Massachusetts, the
supposed to be a tag team match. There's already 4 guys on their way out.
That's exactly right.
And I'm not sure about the guy that's already in there.
His partner from Grenoble in the French Alps, the 8th wonder of the world.
And I'll tell you what happened earlier. Bobby the Brain Heenan, he just simply discarded Hercules.
It is Stephanie. Here they come.
The First Lady of Wrestling, Elizabeth Hero.
Look at the Hulk. Look at the condition he's in.
Yes, Gorilla, he's never looked better, brother.
And look at Elizabeth. Have you ever seen her lovelier?
No, she's never looked finer. She's never looked prettier. The Rocket Man's never been more cut up, more ready. And the Hulkster, brother, is definitely on top of his game. He's been in the gym training. He looks in the best shape of his career, brother.
This indeed is the Mega Powers.
Oh, what a beautiful robe that is. Probably cost $10,000.
At least. Hulkster pointing a finger at the big guy, the Giant. Listen to that ovation.
Oh, yeah, they're all...
Ladies and gentlemen, we just witnessed the finale of SummerSlam 88. I mean, taking a look at this screenshot here, I think we can all, if you haven't watched this yourself and you're, for some reason, just watching our commentary, this image is all you really need to know to understand what we just saw. Basically, well, why am I blanking on the team names? Mega Powers. The Mega Powers and the Mega Bucks went head-to-head, and, of course, the Mega Powers are... by everyone's favorite hero on this panel, Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. Pretty much, were pretty dominant for most of this match, honestly. With a few moments of Andre the Giant shining through. Ted DiBiase just took a beating. Just in general, this whole match just really... He didn't really. At no point was he really in control. Honestly,
he was really in control a little bit.
But it was 90% of it. He was just getting ragged on in the corner mostly. Yeah, I mean, fun match, as you would expect from something like this. I mean, as we were discussing during the event, Hulk Hogan's got it. It's in his colors, fighting on his terms, really. But it's always fun to see a bunch of Titans in the ring, and that's pretty much what we had here. But Eric, what did you think? What was your big pops? Maybe any DQs? Any high risk maneuvers?
I've blanked the entire match from my memory already because it had Hulk Hogan in it. No, I mean, it was a fun story. Like, let's give Hogan credit. He wasn't the most popular wrestler of all time, probably for no reason. But he was just Hulk Hogan. It wasn't as long as you would think one of these main event matches would be. So again, kind of grateful for small mercies. I would have liked to have seen more of Macho Man in the ring because he was just a better wrestler in general. Anytime it was Macho Man and Ted DiBiase, I thought that was a positive. That was a big pop all the time because they were both very, very good working against each other. And then DQs, I mean, it's Hulk Hogan. He just dominates everything. Like it's almost as much as he was the real American. It was or North Korea. Like, everybody had to be the same as him, including Randy Savage's haircut, exactly the same as Hulk Hogan's. That's the rule of North Korea.
He's the King Jong-un.
He's the King Jong-un of wrestling. But I mean, on a sort of slightly sour note or melancholy note, it was kind of like a DQ would probably be the rapid deterioration at this point of Andre the Giant. I mean, he's clearly not able to do much other than strangle people, which was good at that as well. But you didn't want to put him in the ring. So, it depends what ring you talk about, actually, now that I think about it. But, so watching Andre the Giant, just not, what we got, WrestleMania 1, 2, 3, 4, and SummerSlam, it's 4 years there, and he looks unhealthy at this point. High flying maneuvers, I mean, you have to give them credit. The elbow drop followed by the leg drop was quite a good thing to watch. I just wish it had been somebody else other than Hulk Hogan doing the leg drop. Bret Hart maybe. But overall, yeah, I mean, it was a main event. It had a good story to it, and it's just infected like a virus by Hulk Hogan, as everything in WWF at the time.
Tim, do you have, what are your big pops? What are your DQs? What are your highest maneuvers? Do you also have a burning hatred for Hulk Hogan? These are our questions to you.
So I think I might be the one Hogan sympathizer on this panel.
I'm neutral, by the way.
Okay, so that's a good
I'm
level.
Neutral.
Okay,
I'm neutral.
I probably mentioned this when I've mentioned this on the show before, I think. I loved Hulk Hogan when I was a kid. Hulk Hogan was my first favorite wrestler. I grew up way after his prime. So I didn't watch all of this in sequence. But I understand why Hulk Hogan was where he was for the longest time. And, the thing is if people are walking away entertained, I can't be mad at that. I feel like a lot of the hate, I mean, Eric, obviously you said you never liked Hulk Hogan, so I understand that. But I feel like a lot of the hate we have for Hulk Hogan now is in hindsight. If we were watching this live, maybe today, I mean, obviously, Eric, you still hate him, but I feel like it's Hulk Hogan. He's the people love him. The crowd goes wild. Whatever. Macho Man's there. He's doing some good stuff. I should probably say in general, I like the match. I thought the match was it was fun. There was a good whatever. Not that I don't want to die on the Hulk Hogan hill, obviously, but I'd say I enjoyed this. I don't hate Hulk Hogan with a burning passion, at least not in this context. Obviously, in real life, he's a piece of shit, but that's whatever. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit. Big pops. The crowd loved it. I love Macho Man, obviously. DQs. Yeah, it was a Hogan match. You know, I do agree, Eric. I did love how when Hulk Hogan just got back in the ring, all of a sudden, Ted DiBiase cowered in fear for no apparent reason. That was funny, but you know, once again, it's fucking Hulk Hogan. And high risk maneuvers. Shout out the dude at the end who had Miss Elizabeth's skirt. He was loving it. he was going nuts. That made that dude's night, probably his week.
And his life.
And his life. You know what? Let's face it. And his life. But you know, overall, good closing to the show. I didn't hate that at all.
All right, so for this next little segment here, since we're at the end, we're gonna do a few ratings. One, I want you guys to share your favorite match of this event, and then we'll give our ratings of the event as a whole. I guess I'll start. There's actually there are a few that I was torn between, but I think I'm gonna have to go with the Rick Rude Junkyard Dog match. I think it was hilarious. It was really funny. It was entertaining, and it was what's the word I'm looking for? Quintessential wrestling. I can't think of the word I want to use, but unconventional. There we go. Yeah, it was. Rick Rude is just. That was hilarious with the whole I forget Jake the Snake's wife's name. Do you guys remember?
I don't remember either.
Nope. Don't remember
Cheryl Roberts. Cheryl Roberts.
Of course.
That bit was just hilarious. I don't know. I thought it was very memorable to me. It sticks out in my mind. A lot of charisma from both those guys in general. And then me personally, I'm gonna rate SummerSlam 88, inaugural SummerSlam. I'm gonna give it a solid 7 out of 10. Yups. Jeff Farmer yups. Who wants to take this next? Tim, I'll send it to you.
Okay. You know, I didn't really hate the show, but I don't really have any strong feelings toward it. It was a show. Yeah, I'd figure, you know, this being the first SummerSlam, they'd really want to knock it out of the park. This is a new show, really get people invested. And for me, at least, it didn't, you know, it just seemed like there wasn't really anything special or out of the ordinary. All the matches were just kind of straight matches. There wasn't really any gimmicks to any of them. You know, but at the same time, no match was like, you know, bad. I guess the worst on the show was, you know, like Dino Bravo and Don Morocco. And we even said, like, that was just like a match. You know, it wasn't like there wasn't anything like extremely memorable about it. So overall, actually, well, I should say my favorite match was probably, I think I have to give it to Demolition versus the Hart Foundation. That was a really good match, and I didn't go in with extremely high expectations. I thought it was going to be a good match, but I don't know, that like actually hooked me and had me very invested in that match. So I think I'd go with that as my favorite. And overall, I don't know, I guess I'd give the show maybe 5. Sounds a little rough, but I'm more...
Go with your gut, Tim. Go with
5
your gut.
because it feels just right down the middle. Okay. You know, I have no over, you know...
Should we state just like 5 is pretty neutral, anything below 5 is negative to varying degrees, anything above 5 is positive to varying degrees? Should we agree on this?
I'd agree with that. Yeah, I'm good with that. Okay, so yeah, so 5. It's an average show. There wasn't, you know, anything too great, anything too bad.
Okay, so we've got a 7, we've got a 5. Eric, on to you.
I mean, I remember it, so I have like fond memories of probably more the nostalgia of the time. It wasn't, looking back on it, it wasn't as great as I remember it being, but then again, it was the first SummerSlam and we hadn't seen anything like that before. It was just WrestleMania to that point really, and then the Survivor Series. But overall, I'd go with like a 7, and that's like maybe pushing from a 6, rounding up from a 6.8 or something like that.
So a strong 6.
A strong 6 into a weak 7. Just because, you know, there was a bit of filler in it. There wasn't, you know, it wasn't, not that we have main event after main event after main event, but there was a lot of filler in it that maybe better matchups could have been put in their places. Best match for me, it'll always be for all time and forever Ultimate Warrior against the Honky Tonk Man, because just encapsulated the Ultimate Warrior in 30 seconds. You learned everything you need to know about that bloke.
Well, I mean, to quote Ultimate Warrior about that match, spaceship. So.
Yeah, I mean, like he was launching a spaceship from the Garden of Destrucity in a big way. It was a big deal. So that for me was the best. That wasn't the best quality match. It was the most iconic. And then the only downfall was Hulk Hogan was still involved in that. That's literally it for me.
That took it down.
But otherwise, yeah, it's a nice pushing, like generous 7, say, and then. Just good to see that extra pay-per-view at the time come out, so we had 3 things to look forward to for the year.
All right, so I guess if we got 2 7s and a 5, should we call the average score a 6?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, like a what did you say?
6.4.
A strong 6.
Okay, so because we're only gonna do this once, for purposes of not being annoying, here we go, Jeff. What's the final score?
Yep.
Oh, hold on. Ready? Here we go.
Yep.
All right. I can't do a happy up. Otherwise, I would throw a happy up in there. Yep. All right.
I thought it was just getting bright in here. That's why I did this.
Really?
I probably should have saved the salute if we ever have a show that's a 10. We got to do the 10 yep salute.
10 yep salute. Yeah.
That
was the 6 yep salute we just did. All right. So there you have it. That was. I keep wanting to say WrestleMania, as my brain wants to say. SummerSlam 88 in the books for a second time. It's now in the books. I believe. What's after this? Are we moving on to what's the next?
Survivor Series will be the next one. The second Survivor Series.
So Survivor Series 2, which would be 89, right?
No,
it's still 88.
It's still 88. Okay,
yeah.
So Survivor Series 88. That's the next episode, hosted by Eric. And until then, yep.